children as young as 1 year and 2 year have faced sexual abuse.
Why is this such a controversial topic, Vishwat? Like, I don't understand, man.
No clue, man. But I was just looking up the meaning of Anahat. It means limitless, infinite, and unbeaten. And I think that embodies what Purvi is trying to say in its totality.
We discussed everything from women menstruation to why is it a taboo and the state of India and the state of its toilets.
To educating children about their bodies, to how to educate children about their bodies, what to say, what not to say, and a whole lot more coming up for you right after this.
We want to do this not just in West Bengal and Odisha. We actually want to take our initiative in every state of India.
How can knowledge ruin innocence?
We should start telling them about touch. We should start telling them about safe touch and unsafe touch. Before that, they should know private body part.
We all live in our little bubbles and we like to believe that that's how the world functions.
ITC only cared about OBF free states. What does that mean?
Basically, the target was to make. Hi, my name is Purvi and I'm the co-founder and director of Anahat For Change Foundation, an organization that promotes menstrual and sexual reproductive hygiene and rights of women and girls in India. And I've been doing this since 2018. We started the organization in 2018. There's a story behind how I started the organization. I have a professional career. I started with a professional career in business management. I worked for a Big Four auditing firm for a few years until I realized my actual calling. That's when I decided to come back to the city where I was born, which is Kolkata. I completed my graduation and then I started working for this Big Four in Bangalore. And in 2018 is when I decided to quit my amazing stint at this company and come back to Kolkata. And that is when I, along with my co-founder Namrata, we both decided to work on this topic of menstruation, menstrual health and sexual reproductive health, right? It did not happen over a day's time or over a coffee. Definitely did not happen, immediately. I personally found my calling when we were working for ITC. So ITC was the first company who approached us. Actually, not me, approached my co-founder, and they wanted to get an impact assessment study done on their project called, there was a project that provided individual household toilets to their community members around the catchment area. So Swachh Bharat Abhiyan was a big thing then. It was just starting out. It's a big thing now as well. A very successful campaign by our Prime Minister. And in 2018, it was, sort of on a mission. The campaign had just started and ITC was helping the campaign by contributing their CSR funds to make toilets in rural villages. And Namrata, my co-founder, was a freelance, expert in data analysis, and she used to conduct a lot of impact assessment, baseline studies. And she happened to ask me to come on board for this project. And this project was something very new to me. It involved walking and traveling across the lengths of India. So wherever ITC had their factories, that is where we were. We were just three people, my co-founder, me, and a team member that we had hired. And we decided to cover 28 districts across 7 states of India, panned around across regions, north, south, east, and west. And it was a 1-year project. We were traveling for over 6 months. I did not come back home for say 3 months at a stretch. In that entire project, I came back home twice. So this project involved working in the most remotest districts of India, talking to communities, households, about their sanitation requirements, usage of the toilets that they've been given by ITC and the government, talking to women about their menstrual requirements, their needs, the need for water, how are they disposing the menstrual product, what is the kind of knowledge that they have. To be honest, ITC really didn't care about data on menstrual health and hygiene, and so does Swachh Bharat Mission. They don't care. MHM is not a part of the campaign. The campaign only revolves around ODF-free states. Okay, so they just care about people using the toilets that they've been provided in their houses. But Namrata and I, were very passionate about topics related to women's health, especially menstrual and sexual reproductive health. And that is when we decided that since we're doing the study, we are going to talk to women about their needs, about their requirements, lack of access to products, services. And trust me, when we came back from the study, we had so much data on us. We had so much varied data, and every state had a different issue. Pune, women didn't have water to meet their daily needs. Also, to to manage menstruation in a dignified manner. There were places in Telangana where women did not know how to dispose pads. They did not have space to dispose pads. That was one of the biggest issues. They did not know how to dispose pads. There were places which had, where women and girls were lacking knowledge on menstruation. They did not really know the process. They just knew that they're going to bleed for these many days in a month. They did not care about, what's the process behind it. What exactly are they going to do about it? What enables them? What enables their body right after they start menstruating? There were places where girls did not have access to proper washrooms in school, which led to a lot of dropout. I think this was Odisha. We were in a tribal district in Odisha, and that's when we realized that girls in a girls' school and an all-girls school did not have access to proper washrooms. And when I say proper washrooms, I mean, a basic facility like a lock, and something to store water, and a clean water for managing menstruation, or everyday sanitation needs.
You said ITC only cared about OBF-free states. What does that mean?
Swachh Bharat Mission has basically the target was to make our states ODF. Then they came out with ODF is open defecation free. Then they came out with ODF plus, where every state which reached 99% ODF, they declared it as ODF plus. So our great Prime Minister's mission was to make our country ODF by 2025, which is definitely achievable. A lot of districts are now ODF and ODF plus, but I would also want to go on and state that some of these reportings are very optimistic, which means that they're not being reported at the in a correct manner. Giving a toilet does not mean your state becomes ODF. Ensuring that the toilet has more than enough facilities inside it, that women and girls can use it, that people can use it, or every member of the household can use it. You cannot provide a toilet 2 kilometers away from the house and then expect the girl and the female members of the family to walk at night to access the toilet. I can go on and on. There were, a lot of insights that we received from this project. There were a lot of shortfalls. There were a lot of course, when we came back and, we had to report this to the company that we're talking about, there were lots of back and forth. They kept telling us that ये data सही नहीं हो सकता, आप वापस check करो. Obviously, when a company is reporting to their board of directors, they want to report that, this is the amount of money that they've used, some crores in their CSR, and this is how much they have achieved. And, every company wants a good projection, a positive number to be showing up. And we had very different number in our hand, the data that we had collected. Especially there were states which were performing even worse. I wouldn't even say poor, but very badly in their sanitation needs, including Orissa and West Bengal.
Puri, let's get to the states and let's get to the regulatory problems. First, I want to discuss the fact that why is this a problem in the first place? It sounds like something that should not be, right? When you talk about menstruations or when you talk about any of the bodily things that are so natural to us as human beings, and they are not new things, it's not something that was invented 5 years ago. It is something that belongs to our being. Why do you think is this a taboo? Why do you think the whole thing of if you're menstruating, don't go to a mandir, that problem? Why? I don't understand. It is beyond my capacity of understanding that this is still an issue.
And it's not even that menstruation is just for humans. It's there in like most mammals, I think. It's not something that's, unique to us. It's something that exists in nature. Talking about girls having to miss school or drop out of school because of not having adequate, washrooms and sanitary facilities. We were speaking to David. He was one of our first few founders, and he speaks about this as well. That the girls in Namibia, they have to miss close to about 40 days of school every year. So that was creating a massive divide in the kind of education they were receiving, because when they are on their periods, they do not have adequate facilities at school. So they have no choice but to not go.
That's absolutely true. So, okay, you and I think it's a normal bodily process. Maybe most of the educated, privileged people think that it's a normal bodily process. There are thousands out there who still do not know that it's a natural bodily process. There are people who have been attaching this or relating this issue to something which is impure, which makes the women impure during that point in time. And this also stems from the gender norms or the conditioning of the society that we are living in. From ages, our mothers, our grandmothers, they have been shooing the topic away. They have been very hush about the topic. They don't want to normalize the conversation. They don't want to normalize the narrative around it. And this has somehow built, over the years. And this is what was passed on to my mother. And when I started working on menstrual health and hygiene, and I don't want to say this, but my mother belongs to this generation. But then she said that, you were working on this very good. Let's not make it public. Let's not post on social media. Let's not be so out there talking about periods and blood. And, she's the same person who consumes the same Netflix content as me, and coming and telling me, you cannot be showcasing a pad in your video. It doesn't look nice. It doesn't look very ladylike. So that's what I'm trying to say, that you are a lady and menstruation is something which is attached to you. No, I understand now we're supposed to call people menstruators, and I'm not supposed to say girls and women. There are people beyond who are not female and also menstruates. There are non-binary people who also menstruate, and that is the narrative. That's the modern narrative which is coming out, and we are more and more accepting it every day. The narrative is actually changing every single day. 5 years back, we never used the word menstruators. We were not talking about inclusivity, diversity when it comes to menstruation periods, right? So the narrative is changing every day. And yes, you are right, it's a normal bodily process, but there's a lot of taboo, there's a lot of shame attached to it. And people have just been adding on to the taboo. There are districts in India, there are villages in India who have been keeping women separate during the days when they menstruate. And, this is something that you think that people are, saying stories, but this is actually true. When we travel We find women sleeping outside their houses at night, or they cannot be sleeping next to their husbands or in the same room. They're not allowed to enter kitchen. In fact, they're asked to stop bathing during their periods. And after 3 days or completion of their periods, that's when they, take a bath and then they enter the kitchen. So all this stigma, all this taboo stems from the fact that people consider menstrual blood an impure blood, which makes the person menstruating impure at that point in time. And that is what Anahat is trying to do. Anahat is trying to break this taboo. Anahat is trying to bring the scientific, natural body process out and open for everybody to access. There are women in villages which might not have access to my YouTube channel, or they might not understand my social media content. But when I speak to them in their language, when I show them charts and posters and communication material that they will understand, that is when they realize ki, it's the same blood that their baby is wrapped around when she's pregnant, and it's the same blood that is coming out every month because she's not pregnant. So the whole idea lies behind understanding the process. The day everybody starts understanding the menstrual process that goes inside our body, that is the day they will stop associating it as a taboo or a stigma.
So, Purvi, you said that, your mother was initially opposed to this. I know for a fact that, there was always this stigma associated, even in my family. Like, it wasn't very openly spoken about. It was very hush-hush. And, it's something that is there in the background and is never really addressed.
Yeah.
And now here we're talking about people who are educated, they live in cities, they're doing things, they're traveling abroad. Like, it's looking at the higher side, not the higher side, sorry, the upper echelons of society, as we call it. So even in those, areas, there is a lack of education, there is a lack of wanting to educate or even trying to understand the education. A lot of times you're like, okay, yes, I'm going to listen to you, but I'm just hearing you because I'm like, I'm here and I have to hear you. So how are you at Anahat getting this message across to people who are educated and who have this kind of knowledge, and B, which is the even more important thing, to people who've never probably even studied this or, ever heard about this outside of their homes?
Absolutely. So, when we started, as I said, we started with the villages first. We started getting into the grassroots first, understanding their needs, requirements, psychology. That's when we started designing our curriculum. Our curriculum is more for the women in rural Bengal, the women in rural parts of Odisha, Chhattisgarh, tribal communities, tea garden workers. And that's how my entire team is trained. We do a lot of trainings, capacity building of government healthcare workers. We have collaborated with UNICEF, we have collaborated with West Bengal government, Chhattisgarh government, and we've tried to build capacity of people working in the grassroots. The thing is that we realized very soon that we're not going to reach and impact each and every menstruator in India. We realized that very soon. And then we decided that in order to reach every girl in a village or every girl studying in a school in rural India, we have to build capacity of people who have the bandwidth to reach them, which was our ASHA workers. ASHA workers are the accredited healthcare workers that the government assigns for every village. So every village is supposed to have, depending on the size of the village and the number of people living inside, they're supposed to have 5 to 7 ASHA workers. These workers are supposed to provide access to information to adolescent groups in schools, in communities outside of schools, girls who are also not going to school, and there are quite many in India who are not going to school. To young mothers to provide access to JSY card. There is a government scheme which provides them free medical facilities to young mothers and free delivery Under all that scheme, Ashas are the one who take the education and access to service in these schools. And once we started working with Asha, the irony was that these Ashas, they go through a training, but their capacity is not built periodically, which means they themselves lack a lot of information. Also, their information is very limited to process and systems because, of course, it has been given by the government. What they lack is the correct methodology to address adolescent girls. Secondly, they stick to a product which gives them commission. The government gives them some product under which, they receive commission. So they don't address choices. They don't address informed choice. They don't address products which are available for the girls to access. They don't address sexual health for adolescent girls. And we have seen this because we realize that they think that adolescent girls in school do not need sexual health, sexual hygiene awareness. It's only once she gets married and plans for a baby, becomes a young mother, and that is when sexual health, reproductive health ka knowledge unke paas jata hai. So this is the problem that we started observing. And we decided that, going forward, we will look for opportunities where we can train these Ashas, Anganwadis, to make their education more holistic to include sexual reproductive health for adolescent girls. Because we knew there were girls who were getting married. Legal age for marriage for girls in India is 18. We work in areas where girls get married as young as 12, 13 years old, 13 years of age. And if you do not provide them access to sexual reproductive health, including abortion, contraception, that is where the health is going to go down. There's going to be a lot of maternal mortality rate, which is the highest in India. In districts of West Bengal, highest child marriage rate is in South 24 and Murshidabad. Ironically, communities populated by minorities. So these were the things that we were trying to address. And Vishnu, coming to your question of, privileged, how do we address, these kind of stigma and taboo in the privileged background? We started a D2C brand, which is called Anahat Unnati. And through this brand, we started selling our products, which is made by women in these villages, in these districts, online. We also started making it available on Amazon, Flipkart. We, of course, do a lot of bulk. We cater to a lot of bulk orders, which comes to us through government, through CSRs, foundations. So these are the bulk orders that we cater to, but we also wanted to reach to the direct customer, which means people like you and me, women who are going to offices, and this was something new for them. This was a lifestyle choice for them. Okay, we are very habituated of using disposable pads. We don't care where our pads go. People don't have knowledge that their pads are 90% made by plastic, which takes 500 to 800 years to decompose. A single pad. We don't live in a society where, waste management is very... It's a priority for the government, which means a lot of sorting of waste happens when the municipality takes it to the dumping ground. Which also means there's a lot of hazard that we are spreading by giving our biomedical waste out there for people to sort openly.
I have 4 nephews. And nephews children are very intrigued things. They like to ask why, what, why, right? And we were also kids at one point. We were also very similar. You used to have these stay-free ads. So always funky, water coming on, bouncing on a pad, and then like going away. And I never had any idea what that was. And it took me 20 years of my life, before I encountered something where, I would have to get knowledge about what this is. my nephew tomorrow asks me, Chachu or Mamu, what is this? Even I feel uncomfortable answering the question, which is the reality of it. Even despite my education, despite my beliefs, I will feel uncomfortable answering them. How do I answer them, Purvi? Like, how do I make it more of a conversational thing? Because the next generation needs to be comfortable. So, how do we do that?
I second that. I think I will put myself in the same boat as Akhil there, because I think there is, I think because of the way that there was a lack of education when we learnt about these things. So the way to, you're always confused on how to pass it on, because what are the terms you use, how you say, and especially with kids, because they will regurgitate exactly what you say. So if you've said something that is, not, what do I say, not mindful of everything around you, or not keeping in touch with everything that's going on, as you said today, the term is menstruators. 5 years ago, we couldn't even say the word menstruation. So you have to keep all of that in your mind. And when you're speaking to kids, moreover, you have to be even more mindful, because you don't know where that term is going to get used and what that kid is going to have to go through.
And plus, when it's my kid, it's a different conversation. When it's somebody else's kid, how do you manage that? Because they're going to be like, I'll be vilified, right? He'll be like, he's teaching him wrong things. They're teaching him the wrong way of speaking. Oh, or chi, they said this. How can my kid say this? How do we break this? Let's break out of it.
Love the question, Akhil. We deal with this every day. My co-founder is also she's a gender specialist, and she has twins, and I see how she's raising her twins. They are 5 years old, and they know the name of their genitals since they were 3. So she has been teaching them the correct names of the body part, including the private body parts. They know breast, they know vagina, they know penis. Okay. And she faced a very similar thing. So when they went to school, they started going to school since last year. It's been 6 months, I think. They did in Don Bosco. They made friends, and now suddenly some topic came out. They were talking about body parts or whatever, I don't know. And these kids are very, open-minded, and, because of course, Namrata has been telling them a lot about things, about growing up, about their body, and been very honest with them. And they have been taking names of penis, vagina, breast, and I think they said these things in front of their friends. And the next thing, Namrata gets a call from a parent saying that, ये क्या आपके बेटे ने ऐसे ऐसे सबके सामने ऐसे पीनस वजाइना बोल दिया, ये ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? किसी को भी इसके बारे में नहीं पता. मेरा बच्चा मुझे आके मेरे फैमिली के सामने पीनस और वजाइना बोल रहा है. अब मैं क्या कर?
उसको बताओ तुम भी वहीं से आए हो.
Exactly. So the point, what Namrata did, I'll tell you what she did. She held a conference in school. She said, I'm going to talk about how to talk to kids about their body parts. Let's start small. Then I will delve into gender and, how to talk to kids about periods and menstruation. And so we also work in gender. We take gender sensitization training in colleges with students in universities, and with students in schools, in government schools. We're doing this right now in West Bengal and in parts of Delhi with the Shiv Nadar Foundation. We're doing a life skills program for them. So what happens is, Akhil, that it is very normal for you to be very surprised and to get into this whole dilemma कि मैं कैसे बताऊँ कि ये pad क्या है और ये advertisement क्या है और periods क्या है. Only because the kid does not have a background on a few things, which is class age 3 से हम start कर देते हैं बच्चों को बताना कि उनके private body parts कौन से हैं. Okay? We should start telling them about touch. We should start telling them about safe touch and unsafe touch. Before that, they should know private body parts, normal body parts and private body parts. Okay? धीरे धीरे in fact 4 and 5 years की age में they start understanding consent. Okay, when you tell them about safe unsafe touch, they will start understanding consent also equally. एक ही साथ में आता है, right? Then of course they get very inquisitive about the advertisement that you're talking about of period pads, or when they see their mother changing pads, or they find pads in the washroom. And it is I feel that at that point in time you have to be very honest, and over there also comes the process of baby making. They should understand that this process of menstruation was involved in creating that child. Okay, so how Namrata does it, she has spoken to their 5-year-old about baby making process, how the baby was made, how you were made. Okay, and then she talks about there is a extra tissue in the lining of a woman's body which sheds every month, because I am not going to have a baby every month. So the lining has to shed every month, and it comes out as a waste blood for 3 to 5 days in a month. And that is where mommy has to use these pads in order to absorb that blood. It's as simple as that.
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because then that comes back to you as the bachpana of my child is lost. Or like, the child is going to mature faster, and the child might not have that childhood that children are supposed to enjoy. Because, of course, that's the conversation that is had. That is literally that's the step-by-step ladder of how these discussions go.
I don't understand the relation of this and bachpana, because bachpana or childhood is inherently associated with innocence, and how can knowledge ruin innocence? Like, that is where it is very idealistic, and I'm addressing that it is extremely idealistic, and I know, Akhil, what you're saying is true and people are going to say this, but I don't understand the link. Like, it's just it's something that I wanted to throw out there, because when you're getting educated, so you're saying inherently by going to school and gaining that knowledge and gaining a degree, you are losing your innocence and your bachpana.
Yeah, I totally agree with Vishnu, but I also agree with Akhil. Akhil, we get this a lot from mothers. We also hold sessions with mothers, and they're like, 3 साल की उम्र में क्यों बताना है? 3 साल की उम्र में प्राइवेट बॉडी पार्ट से सेफ टच क्यों बताना है? अभी तो 3 साल के ही हैं. The thing is that you have to look at statistics that children as young as 1 year and 2 years have faced sexual abuse. And it has often happened where the perpetrators are within the families. There are statistics that 50% of children in India face some kind of a sexual violence in their life. And most of it goes unreported. These are just some reported figures that we have. So again, जब बच्चा 1 or 2 years के age से ही holds the risk of getting rights getting violated, then doesn't it make it necessary for the child to understand basics like private body parts and safe touch and unsafe touch and boundaries, body boundaries, that this is allowed, this is not allowed, right?
I think that's where the conundrum comes in, right? Would you rather have the innocence lost with the knowledge, or with these experiences which you shove under the carpet?
Absolutely, and there's no innocence lost. So when I see Namrata's kids, they're my brothers. So Namrata is my mommy. She's my maternal aunt. So they're my brothers, and when I see them, I don't feel they're any different than any 5-year-old that I've ever seen. Okay. They're just more knowledgeable. I mean, once they see a pad, they're not going to be curious in front of the crowd and say, "Kya hai?" Yeah, because they know about it. And that, if you call that losing innocence, then, the society needs to take a stand from there.
So I've had this discussion with my sister quite a few times, because she wishes to educate the kids also. But then she's always in a conundrum as to how will society view my child if I educate him on that? And how will society react to it? Because at the end of the day, she's like, Akhil, you are sitting in Toronto, right? And it is a lot more comfortable talking about these things here. And it is a fact that kids here at the ages of 3, 5, 6, they are taught bad touch and they are taught private parts. And this is an active conversation, active educational conversation. And education here is free till the time you're in 12th grade. So you, all of them are educated on this front. But my sister, even though she wants to, she feels confined by the society, by the norms. And I wish for this discussion to really change, and I wish for this discussion to, become that India is also very comfortable in this kind of a thing. And you guys are doing a good job on that front, and hopefully we can get the message across to a lot more people from your front.
Thanks, Akhil. Thank you so much for your words. And I feel there are so many influencers, mothers who are influencers, gender activists, gender right activists. They are all coming out and talking about how to talk to children, as young as 3 years old, about all these topics. I think there's a little bit of mind change shift that has happened even in schools. So I look at private schools and I look at teachers in private schools. 5 years, 7 years back, if I was ever to start a topic around menstruation, they would just leave their chairs and just walk out. Now, I freely hold this conversation with teachers from private schools, teachers from government schools. They see the requirement. In fact, जब हमने सबसे पहले जब चाइल्ड सेक्सुअल अब्यूज को एड्रेस किया था स्कूल्स में, trust me, there was not a single school who gave us an appointment. Not a single school. You will be surprised to know what I did next. What we did is that we needed to change the name of the topic. We decided to call it personal safety education rather than calling it a project on prevention of child sexual abuse. Nobody wants sexual abuse, sexual word included in any of the trainings, anything that is being done in school. We changed it, okay? We started calling it the personal safety education. We changed a few things here and there. And then we started approaching school. In just 4 months, we covered more than 100 government schools, only around South Kolkata. Just in, 3 months.
Purvi, I think that's where the whole thing comes in here, that there's this, I think comedians have written a bunch of these jokes where they go like, we in India have the highest population, yet we are shy of saying the word condom. It should be part of, it should be every second word that is used should be condom. Or like the term sex or sexual or anything related to that. There is, there's so many of these comedy skits that are made on it. And the funny thing is, it's actually so true. Because we have this habit of just, yes, okay, it's there, we're not going to talk about it, it exists. So, there's so many of these movies that have come out which are talking about, the spread of...
Thanks to Akshay Kumar.
I think there was an Ayushmann Khurrana movie recently where he becomes a...
Yeah, Ayushmann Khurrana, Akshay Kumar.
Akshay Kumar with Padman, Ayushmann Khurrana, I think he becomes a gynecologist in training or something like that. There's a bunch of these, there's some, I think, women working in condom companies. There's a bunch of these movies, but have you experienced any such thing where these movies or this kind of content has actually made a difference at the level beyond, urban sprawls where content is readily available?
Absolutely. You know what? We started the same year, Padman's, not the movie Padman, but Padman's inspiration, Mr. Forgetting his name. He's the one who started this small unit in a village and started making pads. That is, I think that was 2018, 2019. And that is when we also started working. But this topic took force after the movie Padman. That is when everybody started talking about pads. There was an entire community that woke up. There is a collective on menstrual health and hygiene and menstrual care products. In fact, sustainable menstruation भी वहीं से शुरू हुआ. we started with a range of products from reusable cloth pads to organic, disposable, biodegradable, menstrual cups, so that the entire conversation narrative started after the movie Padman. And that's the power of media. And I think not just Padman, there's a recent movie by Akshay Kumar, it's called Oh My God 2, and not a lot of viewers have consumed that movie, but I feel that was a path breaking movie. It's the first time that in the media they're talking about the need for sex education in schools, and I feel that if that movie hit the right point, actually Fadman ke saath na, what topic was a hot cake. MHM, menstrual health, was a the topic which is trending, and it hits the right spot and everything. But I think Oh My God 2 did not get that kind of attraction as of now as a movie.
Take it from Oh My God 2. So Oh My God 2, the director has said that we wanted to make a movie so that we could actually address the whole sexual education topic. And then the censor board made a bunch of cuts to the movie and they labeled the movie as a 16 plus movie, while the movie is supposed to target kids and educate them on the sexual health. So now the director is like, I'm going to launch this movie on OTT uncut so that we can actually achieve what we set out to achieve and not just make a movie out of it, right? Now I wish to build on that with another movie, which is Swades, in which this fellow comes from the US, goes to a Gao and tries to make changes, right? And tries to discover it. India is a very heavily patriarchal society. It is a male dominated society. And as much as we like to sit in our bubbles and believe that it is changing, that you and I sit here, India is dominated by that kind of a society on 80% of our population. I think those are the numbers, right? When you go to villages, when you go to educate young women, do you face the wrath of this patriarchal society? Do you face the anger that stop telling our women this because of the ownership that patriarchal societies believe they have? And how do you deal with that?
So, great question, Akhil. So, the thing is that you asked me whether you face this when you go to communities. I face this every day, sitting right at my office. So the thing is that I started Anahat when I was pretty young. I was 23, and that's when I decided to start Anahat. And a lot of things fell at the right place at the right time very quickly. So within 2 years, we were a team. We were growing, and I, being a non-Bengali, working in Bengal in the most rural setup with the government, I faced a lot of slack from these government officials who would, I would actually have to take Namrata. Namrata is the Bengali. And I would actually have to take Namrata to these meetings, and they would not listen to me. There were questions that were asked to me about my motive behind the organization. People thought I was a college student who is running a campaign. Okay, I was asked whether this is like a stop-gap scenario for you on meetings, and these were asked by eminent people with years of knowledge, years of experience in whatever they're doing, CSR, holding CSR position. I was also, asked that how will I be able to do this? I'm not even a Bengali. How do you even go to people and talk to them? How do you run this whole show? And the thing is that I actually was very patient. I was very patient with the whole process. I have also, tried to build that supportive environment for myself. Now there are people, organization directly calling me and, recognizing what I've done in these few years. And yes, there is, when we go to, I wouldn't say exactly this is patriarchy, but I I have faced a lot of backlash also while talking about menstrual health with a Muslim population. I was actually get uh, about to get harassed in a setup where I went to teach women about menstrual health, where there was, NRC CAA protests, right? So the protests were happening in Kolkata, and there were a group of women who were sitting, and an organization invited me to talk to them. So these women would sit every single day. Group of women, like close to 80-90 women, would sit every single day and protest and do nothing else. So this organization invited me, said, why don't you come? It's an amazing group, and talk to them about their menstrual hygiene needs. There was a lot of issue inside the community, and it would be great if you can just address one or two. And me being me, I got really excited, went, started my session, started talking about the menstrual process, and I got all excited, went and started my session. I spoke to them about, of course, menstruation, the process, the menstrual cycle, and how do they calculate it. And the moment I delved into stigma and taboo, and when I asked them, they have this habit of discontinuing rosa during periods. And I asked them a very sincere, simple question that, why do you do it? Why do you stop your fast during Ramzan just because of period? And they said कि नहीं, यही हमारी प्रथा है, हमको फास्टिंग छोड़नी पड़ती है. हम तो बहुत बार अपने फैमिली को बताते भी नहीं है कि हमारे पीरियड है, हम फास्ट करना छोड़ देते हैं फिर. और they cannot touch, of course, holy books. And they have a lot of restrictions at home. They cannot be a part of dinners and lunches, and they cannot, of course, touch anything which is holy during Ramzan. And I started questioning that. I started associating it with a scientific reason. I told them, "इसमें impure क्या है?" I explained them the process, and then I asked them, do you think in this entire process there is anywhere you feel this is a impure blood which is going to make you impure during that time? And so many women agreed with me there. The problem was there was some women, particularly from an elderly group, who called their men and said that, she's talking about periods and Ramzan, and she's saying, why do we stop fasting? And there was this huge argument, and they started saying कि आप हमारे साथ ऐसे बात कैसे कर सकते हैं, आप हमारी औरतों के साथ ऐसे बात कैसे कर सकते हैं, right? And and then we decided that we need to leave from that place as soon as possible. And we left, and I felt really bad. There were women who completely agreed with me, and they were actually thinking about, मतलब ठीक ही तो बोल रही है, हम रोजा करना क्यों छोड़ते हैं? So yes, there are communities जिसके साथ हमें बहुत challenges face करनी पड़ती है, बहुत problems होती है, but there are communities who welcome us, who try to understand the topic. There are women in villages who are making these products. They're happily, very confidently, proudly telling their family that they make reusable cloth pads. हम पैड बनाते हैं. And there are women जिनके लिए ये इकलौता livelihood है. This is the only livelihood that they have. And that is how they support their family. And we encourage them to use this money towards the education of their children. Wherever we are providing this livelihood opportunity, we are telling women to use this money to educate your child. And we don't just, give them work orders or include them in stitching and making. We actually treat them as agents of change. ये लोग अपनी community में जाके माहवारी, मासिक, menstruation को लेके बातें करती है, adolescent girls के साथ group बनाती है. We have been talking to women in the most tribal districts of Alipurduar, West Bengal, tea garden workers. We are talking to them about sexual reproductive health. This is the first time they're getting access to first-hand information about contraception. This is an area where women do not use contraceptives at all. They don't know what contraception is. Okay? They get married as young as 13, 14 years old. Within the time they reach 18, they're carrying 2 children. Okay? They don't know about spacing. They don't know कि दो बच्चों के बीच में 2 से 3 साल का spacing की ज़रूरत होती है. Right? So the mother will suffer from anemia. As it is, the mother is very young and underage. So that's the kind of conversation that we are holding with them. We include government also. We include Anganwadi workers, ASHA workers, ICDS workers. And we try to address the issue.
It's tough, yeah. It's like whenever you go against the system, there's a backlash. And sometimes the systems are so heavily established because as humanity, we started coming together and working together. But when the systems were formed, we were more segregated. And then till date, we hold these systems very near and dear to us and we don't wish to change them. Despite how much ever more we know, which holds us back, which is why the whole conversation of, numerous times my mom points out, whenever I question something that is built into the religion, that why is this so? And the response is, तेरे को ज़्यादा पढ़ा लिखा दिया है, and we've educated you too much, right? Or you've been damaged goods on the religious fronts.
So I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of writing, because things have been, especially in Indian culture and especially the way our civilization has progressed, a lot of it is orally transmitted. So the moment you have that, there is each person's perspective or each person's bias or something or the other that sort of comes into the way they speak. And I think that's where what a system that was originally created as something has today become something completely different. And because whenever it was written down, or even if, I don't even know if it's still written down completely or not, but we're all following interpretations, understandings. We've all sort of finagled our way around to find, okay, this is what we find comfortable and we're sticking with this. And that is today, here you have it as families, and villages you have it as communities. So each village will probably have one sort of system that they follow or a particular belief that they follow, which is unique to them. So I mean, these are things that have come down, and the discussion about this is endless. And so, we can keep going on about this. So Purvi, coming to the money aspect at the end of the day, so everything needs money to survive. So let's address how you make money when addressing such an issue. You are an NGO, you are Anahat for Change. So how is Anahat for Change sustaining itself?
We are actually a hybrid model social organization. So Anahat for Change is the not-for-profit that we started in 2018. We just celebrated our 5th year. And in 2021, we incorporated another Section 8, which is actually a for-profit, which is called Anahat For Change Solutions Foundation. And that's how we became a social hybrid model organization. These types of organizations are increasingly becoming very famous in India. You'll find a lot of these hybrid model organizations, and the reason behind people are, the non-profits are moving more towards hybrid model is, number one, financial stability. Very important for NGOs. Our current government is not very favorable towards NGOs. There are numerous restrictions put on us in terms of compliances every year, in terms of FCRA, right? You have seen in the news, government has stopped FCRAs for the biggest of the organizations. I mean, it's actually heartbreaking for smaller NGOs to see this. Thirdly, the compliances have increased. There's a lot of, things that we have to legally comply by in order to receive funding from India and outside. Plus, some letting projects have become a problem. So organizations who are getting funded from outside, who are accepting foreign funding, cannot sublet their projects to smaller organizations, which becomes a huge problem for smaller implementing organizations. So Anahat is still a very small implementing organization, and organizations like Oxfam, USAID, UNICEF, WaterAid, these are sort of organizations who have the maximum foreign funding sitting with them. If they are not able to give us money for their implementation in India, we are losing out on a huge chunk of work in India, right? So that is a huge obstacle for us. So these are some of the things which led us to start a for-profit. The for-profit generally looks after the brand. We created a brand in 2018. It's a registered brand, trademark brand. It's called Anahat For Change Foundation, where we train women in several parts, in several districts of India to make reusable sanitary pads. These pads have become very famous now. There are several companies who are making them. We have a unique model. We associate community livelihood model with our pads. We 100% make these pads in villages, in the livelihood centers that we have created. So our income is dual. We receive grants and donations from organizations who help set up these livelihoods, for organizations who help us run social impact projects, from organizations who, take our services for creating small livelihood projects, life skill projects in their areas. And the second line of income is the proceeds from the sale of the products that we are making under the brand Anahat For Change Foundation. So we cater to a lot of bulk orders which come to us from CSRs, corporate, foundation, government, UNICEF. So these are organizations who have been giving us bulk orders for not just pads, for reusable baby diapers, for reusable cloth masks. So these are some of the products that we take orders for. We get them implemented entirely in the rural villages. We support women with livelihood. As of now, we're supporting more than 1,200 women across India. And their livelihood is close to 5,000 to 7,000 rupees on an average per month. And this is an alternative source of livelihood. We only take a few hours of their time. We do not ask them to dedicate their entire time. Village ka, rural ka livelihood model is different. They don't depend on one work. They do several work. They have a farmland, they do cultivation, they do poultry, they do goatry, they have a kitchen garden. For them, they need multiple sources of income in order to survive. They don't have consistent work. Tea gardens में भी consistent काम नहीं होता है. 4 महीने के लिए तो काम होते ही नहीं है. So what do? They depend on goatry project. So we run a goatry project with women, for those years when they don't have, for those months where they don't have work, so that they don't stop sending their children to work, right? So these are the kind of projects we do. We have recently created a D2C platform, as I said. It's an e-commerce site. It's called anahatunati.com. The site is right now selling these products which these women make. We're seeing a lot of traction, but I think we still need to get that, that breakthrough in D2C, which is not very easy. It needs a lot of fund infusion in terms of digital marketing and social media marketing, which is why, I reach out to a lot of fellowships and grants which can provide me that kind of funding. I am a fellow of Singapore International Foundation Young Social Entrepreneur Program. I'm right now also a fellow with Western Union Foundation. So these organizations have been Sundara Fund, another US-based organization who's been funding me as a fellow. So I particularly became interested in fellowships because I thought their funding capacity was quite nice. They were accepting me as a fellow. They look at founder as the sole driver of the organization. And they were also able to help me build my capacity, create that kind of a networking, give me access to training, customized training. Because it was not easy for me to, balance this. It's not easy for us, both as co-founders, to balance this whole hybrid model. The non-profit has a separate way of working.
Vishwat and I have this active discussion, I think, on a daily basis, maybe 2 times a day, that we all live in our little bubbles and we like to believe that that's how the world functions. We have this discussion that everybody has internet. Why doesn't everybody just learn everything, right? For example, you want to be an engineer, Harvard has free lectures, Stanford has free lectures on whatever class you want to take, whatever way you wish to educate yourself. And then we meet people such as yourself who make us realize that our bubble is actually a very, very, very tiny bubble, even in a country like India. And then you having access to all of these goods are able to give access to these people who are not aware of these things. For example, you setting up this D2C platform gives access to them to build stuff to get to the mass market world without even being aware of, oh, this is a possibility. So I think amazing job, and like I really appreciate your enablement for women in this manner. I think it's awesome.
How do we get involved? How does anyone get involved? Today, say for example, a corporate like an ITC, like which got you started off, how influential can something or someone of that size be to you guys?
So, yeah, so the thing is that I realized very quickly into my work that not every big corporate or organization or funding body is your friend. Okay, हर जगह से funding अच्छी बात नहीं होती. I realized that very quickly because I realized that there are organizations who respect and value the work that you do. And there are organizations who will treat you like an agency, okay? They don't look at you as a non-profit. They don't look at you as somebody who's serving the society or bridging that gap, right? And I have had this bad taste of funders, corporates coming to us and treating us like, some agency who will just get their work done, without giving us the required admin cost. There is an administration cost involved in running all of this, in running a team of 30 people, in setting up offices, in taking care of traveling to such remote areas. These are just some top level expenses that I'm talking about. There are organizations, but I would also say there are organizations, and I would want to name them. There's Azim Premji Philanthropic Initiative, Azim Premji's organization, who gives grants to hundreds of NGOs every year, and they give long-term grants. So we very quickly realized that there are donors who will understand your worth, they will understand your value. They will fund you for a longer period of time, because behavioral change एक दिन में नहीं आता, right? आपने oh my god फ्लू बना दिया और sex education कल से implement हो गया, ऐसा नहीं होता, right? So when you work in a community, I would want to be able to support them for a minimum 3 years to be able to see some impact, some success story, some change in their life, right? So we realized very soon कि ये one-time donation, one-time corporate project, CSR, say we're not going to achieve what we want to, right? We will make money. I will keep my team very happy. I will raise salary. But it's not going to fulfill my long-term strategic goal.
Yeah, so Purvi, my question was more towards if an organization of the size of an ITC or something like that had to get in for the long term. I'm saying an organization meets your dream. They are saying, we are going to fund you for the long term. We are going to meet all these costs. And we are going to actively, understand what you're doing and try to implement behavioral change rather than have you as a note on our annual report. I'm saying you get that ideal dream scenario. How much is that going to aid your efforts?
To a very large extent. Yeah, I think that's gonna be huge for us. We want to do this not just in West Bengal and Odisha. We actually want to take our initiative in every state of India. And this is just a small requirement that we found here. मैं तो India का आधा portion, and I don't even know that, what exactly is happening. I'm sure there are organizations who are addressing this in other parts of India. But the model that which we have applied over here, we want to see if that model works in other parts of India. We have tried to do pilot in different states, but our funding is only limited to pilot. We can't scale it up. We can't include, every village there is in Karnataka or Andhra Pradesh. So I think the scalability that we're looking at, Vishwat, is where it can only be done through multiple partnerships. And that is what we are looking at in social organizations right now. आजकल projects ना एक partner से नहीं होते. Projects involve government. Project will involve government, has to involve government if you want to scale up. It will involve corporates, it will involve philanthropic organizations. And in fact, we're doing this right now. We're doing multi-pronged, multi-partnership projects. Implementing agency is an organization like Anahat and, similar implementing organization, NGO. But the funding and the capacity and mentorship guidance has to come from a much higher level, right? Government is the one who can give me that supply chain access. Government is the one who can give me access to all the schemes, all the budget which is kept unutilized. You have no idea how much budget is kept unutilized in every these small schemes that they have. आंगनवाड़ी पे बाथरूम बनाने का भी एक स्कीम है, उसका बजट भी unutilized है. And आंगनवाड़ी का तो they are in a very bad shape right now, at least in West Bengal. So that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, there is no one corporate or I look at as a dream corporate, right? So there is no one philanthropic organization which is a dream organization for me. I feel like every project needs to have several partners from several sectors.
Purvi, let's leave the huge corporate aside. Someone watches this episode, feels inspired, wants to get in touch, wants to make a change, even if a short-term change, but a change nonetheless. How do they reach you? How do they find you? How can they get involved in your efforts?
Yeah, I think lovely. Let's start small. Our organization is based out of Kolkata. Our office is in Behala. We have a team of 30 people work in different parts of the district. We are available on social media. We have several handles. In fact, we have a handle for Anahat NGO where we, showcase all the work that we do as part of training, awareness in colleges, universities. There is a handle which only talks about the products that we make, which is called Unnati by Anahat. We're available on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Apart from that, we have a website, which is a very engaging, collaborating website, where you not only get access to all the information of our current active projects, you can also make a donation. You can also see the work, the impact that we are making, the lives that we're changing every day. We have a beautiful section where we tell stories. In future, we are going to use storytelling as a very powerful tool to reach, girls in schools, to reach adolescent girls and boys in schools. I'm sorry, I've only been talking about girls. We work with adolescent boys as well. We have an adolescent empowerment program that we run in tribal schools of West Bengal. Yes, so that's how you can come to our website, make a donation. You can also leave suggestions to us. You can purchase our product, which is going to 100% empower a women behind it who have put in a lot of effort making that product for you. There is also a section called Give Back to Community, which you can actually donate a pad. You can pay for a pad. You can pay for a hygiene kit, which provides dignified menstruation to a woman for 3 years. A kit will cost just 300. That kit is going to provide menstrual protection, hygiene to a woman for 3 years. You make a payment and we make sure that the kit reaches a person, a menstruator who is in dire need of a menstrual product. So the campaign is called Give Back to Society. It's on our website, anahatunnati.com. And I feel it's a beautiful way to start giving back to the society. And definitely, there are ways you can volunteer with us. There are ways you can accompany my team to schools, colleges, rural villages. And I will make sure it happens if you're interested.
Guys, all the details are down in the description below. We will try to put as much of it on the screen as possible. And yeah, please do get in touch. Please do speak to Purvi or hit either of us up to, get in touch with Purvi. We will be more than happy to connect you.
We are completely like stumped after this. This is crazy. Like, we don't hear about this, and this is. I wish for this topic to not even be a topic in the future. This should be a non-problem. It should be a non-issue, and hopefully you get us there faster than anything. And hopefully our podcast becomes a medium for your message to get across to more people. Hopefully you help people get to our podcast because, you would also like them to watch this episode. Maybe have a glimpse into your education on the topic. We have a tradition on our podcast. The last guest has left you a question, and we would like you to leave a question for our next guest, for our next founder. So we have two questions actually. The first one is a little fun activity. What is the most obnoxious email ID that you have created for yourself? And are you ashamed of it?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Yep. Yes. I'm not actually ashamed. I feel, there was a different time. We were a gang in school and we called ourselves, so these were initials of all the members in the gang, DDPPS, and we created an ID. I don't remember, there was this chat which was very famous, where you can talk to strangers, and that was a thing.
MSN?
MSN, was it MSN?
MSN Messenger?
Yeah. And that's when we didn't know we needed an ID for that. So we created an ID. We called it Cool Girl DDPPN. And we all used to chat using the same ID, okay? And that was, that was way back in school. But no, not ashamed.
The second question I have for you is, what are the top 3 things you do as a founder actively and you would recommend other founders do as well?
Okay. So the first thing that I do as a founder is I share with my team. Because I am a part, as I said, I am a part of a lot of fellowships. I basically gather a lot of knowledge. I filter it out. That's another thing. I absorb whatever is needed and then the rest is thrown out. But I share. My team always does not have access to these international fellowships, and they don't travel and they don't. They're also, I must tell you, they're a very grassroots team. So some of them cannot even speak English. They just enough know their language to be able to do training in villages, right? So I come and I gain I carry all this material from the fellowships. I come back and I sit with them. We sit every Saturday. From 4 to 6 and we just share. I love to share to them about concepts that I've learned, about team building activities, about things we can change in our curriculum, about new ideas, modern techniques, methodologies. And they love to share about their experience in the training, in the work that they're doing, which also helps us to make a lot of changes and keep up with everything that is trending and which is politically correct, basically. First thing I do is share. Second thing that I've started doing very recently is collaborate. I shut that idea down initially. I would not accept invites for events. I would not accept, a random phone call asking me, for I don't know, for 30 minutes time for this, for that. And I always thought it was a waste of time. But I truly understand the power of collaboration now because it has worked for me. I used to hear people talking about networking, but then now I understand, how this thing works. 5 years, 6 years down the line, you can actually track, that this is how networking has helped you. That these are the people you know. And now, right now, if I want to get something done, I will have that person in my contact list. And that's the power of collaboration and network. So I realized that very quickly. So I share with my team, I collaborate. And as a founder, I'm not ashamed to ask for help. It's very important. I literally struggled with this. I would not ask my mentors. I would not ask people about things that I did not know how to work around. When this new company started, we did not know how to start an e-commerce website. We did not know what digital media marketing and how much money is required for Facebook ads, of AdWords, SEO. Nothing I knew about it, right? And I realized in 2021 that I just have to go out and seek help. There is abundance available, okay? There are fellowships which are going to just accept you because of the profile that you've created, and they're going to give you money and they're going to give you training. It's amazing how it works, and they're just looking for passionate people. And there are very few Indian fellowships. There are all these big fellowships are outside. There's this, right now I'm in the middle of MIT Solve. Again, a beautiful, beautiful fellowship. I mean, to give you $1 billion. I don't know how much I'm going to tap that kind of money, but yeah, their network is amazing. So I feel, yes, just agreeing, accepting that you need help and going and asking for help will change your life, I think.